I mean, you said when we asked the question, you know, is being a professional athlete hard, Alex? And Abby texted you. You were like, hell yes, much harder than what was the text, Abs? It was like much harder than raising two kids, building two businesses, a foundation. And I think, here's my theory on this now. I've thought a little bit about this, right? Like, you guys were such faces of the sport, and that requires a different pressure, a different consistency to what you're doing, that you're always thinking, I have to be the one scoring goals, driving this program forward, winning World Cups, because the burden rests on my shoulders. Unlike this kid who was just like, I'm just going to cheer and be vocal and scream at people. But I didn't worry about any of that stuff, right? Do you think that had something to do with it? Had to have.
I do. Actually, Lynn's answer was really interesting to me, because she was, and I think it's true in some ways, but just like, well, it depends, like, how hard do you want it? Because you could get to the highest level by just being that good and working hard, but you might not just like want it all day, every day, and do like the little things that kind of drive you crazy and make you look crazy, and you kind of are crazy. But I think that also that coupled with that burden in a way, definitely made it very hard.
Lynn, and just for context, Lynn Biondolo answered, well, yeah, it's hard if you want to be great. That was her answer. It was so good.
It's so good. And that's that floored me, that answer. I was like, oh my God, it's about this pursuit of greatness. And so I have to ask, Alex, like, you have started these businesses and you have your foundation and you have your family. So it's not like you've just stepped out of retirement in a lot of ways like I did, that I was like, I'm going to need to take some time. Like, you have pre-created a world to step into, which I think is really fascinating and smart in a lot of ways. But what are the hopes and dreams? And we're going to get more into the businesses, like, psychologically speaking, are you just transferring that kind of pressure from the time of being the face of US soccer for all those years into your new life? Or are you learning some lessons around some of the downfalls and pitfalls of all of that pressure and what it can kind of exhaust you in? Like, are you trying to bring that with you, or are you trying to leave some of that behind?
Good question.
Probably, yeah. If I had to choose one of those, I'd say leave some of that behind. You know, I do feel like it's weird in a team sport. In soccer, you guys know this really well. You have to be like selfish and selfless, and you have to have the right balance of that. Yeah. And I feel like now, in my post-soccer career as a businesswoman and building a venture fund with Servando, my husband, I'm not selfish at all. And I'm not always like, I'm not doing things or making connections with people to have an angle to be able to like get an edge. Like the way that we're building business is truly through like real connection. It's doing it with people we want to do it with. A lot of times in soccer, as much as we ended up making incredible friendships and relationships with people, we didn't get to choose that. We were put on a team and we were put under a coach, and we had to make it work, and with the best of the situation. But now in our job today, we get to choose who we talk to every day. We get to choose who we work with every day. And that's really different. And I'm really enjoying that.
That's so interesting to me, because you're trying to get away from the transactional approach to the way people do business. And I think that that's really, really beautiful. I want to like circle back to one thing that you said, because one of the things, and I just need to highlight this for our listeners, one of the things that I was always the most amazed about you is that all the world championships we ended up playing together in, and the ones that I saw you play in after my retirement, I was like more amazed by your ability in world championships to do what the team needed. You were such a team player during these world championships when the other teams were really focusing on Xing you out of the game and not giving you any chances, you would make these selfless runs. You would defend your ass off like the entire game. And sometimes that meant that you didn't score goals. And by the way, you're a forward. That's what you're out there to do. And then you turn that kind of on its head and won us championships in many ways in the most selfless forms. And I just need to say, like, out of all of like the accomplishments that you have, when I watched you do that, and you scored a lot of goals in world championships, this is not to say that you didn't, but I think that you should have probably scored 50 more goals in world championships had it not been for the fact that all these other teams were trying to defend you out of these games. And the selflessness of those runs of the defending, like Alex Morgan defended so much. Just go back to the tapes, folks. She was like such a high level defender. And after these games, when I was not on the team, I would text her. I'm like, you are working so hard for the team and that matters. And I'm just like so impressed. And I just want to say, like, yes, maybe the selflessness gets to transfer over into business, but I want to ask a question, a follow-up on that. Like, is part of the selfishness that we had to have as players a sense of confidence because we were so schooled in it? Like, is there any imposter syndrome that you're experiencing in the business world, worrying about, like, do I deserve to be doing all of these things? Because I know that I experience that. I'm just curious if you do too.
Well, first of all, thank you for that. I did defend a lot, and I hate defending. So
Same.
Don't we all?
I'll leave that to Julie. And
Nope, I left that to Shannon Box and Michelle Akers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but that was not the fun part. That was the grinded out part. I do feel like I enter in rooms, and sometimes I'm like, what am I doing here? And what's the thread of connection here in where I can provide value? And I know I do provide value, but it is humbling, but it's also incredibly challenging because in a way, like, you know, Abby, like, we always challenge ourselves in soccer, and we always told ourselves that we can get better every single day. Even from when you retired, the month leading up, it was like you were presented with a new challenge in how can I help my team win with not being on the field for 90 minutes. And that was a different outlook for you than you've ever had in most of your career. So I think now it's like, it is very different, but it's also very similar in the way of just challenging myself to, like, think outside the box and be like, how can I learn every single day? But I'm almost like, it's almost like thinking I'm at the beginning of my soccer career because I really have so much to learn. And I feel like I'm entering into this space that, like, everyone has been here for years and years. If anything, they, like, also did schooling in finance. They, like, have been around and gone to all of these conferences and done all these panels and have built all these connections with people in the venture and finance world. And I'm like, hey guys, like, here I am. I mean, I've been at this now for over 5 years, but it's also like, that's very new when it comes to the venture world. So for sure, I'm not like in the way that, like, with soccer, you kind of show up and you have to be like, I'm here. Like, you almost have to, like, have that confidence. I feel like now I am more open and willing to be like, yeah, I know that I don't know everything and I have a lot of learning to do. But I'm also confident in my abilities in where I stand right now and, like, how I can, like, lead my company.
And that must be so refreshing, though, for the people who are experts in that business. Because I'm sure there are athletes who step into it and are like, I'm a badass. I know everything because I'm a badass athlete, which doesn't necessarily mean you're a badass business person as well. But they come in with that mentality.